All right, good to have you with us here on the South African Morning. We head up to 11 to 7. So the 1st November, we're all making our mark, aren't we? Political parties taking to social media to drum up support in these upcoming elections. COVID-19 changing the way that we're consuming their content, how they're talking to us. Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, name it. They're on it. And users are not afraid to say exactly how they feel about political leaders. Very well known social media expert, Tebogo Ditshego from Ditshego Media Public Relations Agency, joining us to look at the election trends and the build-up to the elections as well on social media. And now also flying high in the world of macroeconomics, microeconomics. So we're going to talk about the economics around the election as well. But I do want to talk to you about social media for today's discussion. So let's just talk about what we're seeing so far, because when you and we did this a couple of years ago, didn't we?
Yeah.
We spoke about national elections, local elections, but that was long before COVID. Yeah. Now the elections basically live on social media. I mean, how different has that been?
Yeah, it's a little bit different, but I'm actually quite surprised that we haven't had more sophisticated topics, in debates that are happening. And I think that we need to set an agenda a bit differently, where we really understand what it takes for us to reach our destination, because we saw with the EFF's manifesto launch, it was just EFF manifesto trending. Then with the ANC, the same thing happened, and we focus on small things like when Julius said that he's going to build RDP houses in Sandton and so on and so forth. But we don't deal with larger, the larger perspective of exactly how is it that we can really grow our economy, and post-COVID-19. And I think that we need to improve on the quality of the conversation that happens on social media.
And that's where your economy brain is now coming out, because you're now looking at it like that. So how... I'm going to ask you to wear both those hats for a moment. The economy side and the social media side. How would you tell the EFF, DA, ANC, and all the rest, obviously, I'm just picking, you could say, the top three. How would they get those important conversations happening on social media? Because the problem with social media, it's pretty shallow.
Well, look, I'd actually take a step back. I would first start by educating the voter, because they need to know exactly what does local government do. I think we really underestimate what local government does, and I saw that permeate into some of the election manifestos. So firstly, local government deals with economic growth in the local municipality. It deals with infrastructure development as well as services. Now, when we talk about the economy and growing the economy, we need to understand exactly what are we talking about. And I think a lot of those things are interrelated. So when I saw the ANC's manifesto with President Ramaphosa talking about how they want to develop sport, arts and culture, in townships, rural areas, to ensure that we improve, on the environment and the recreational activities that kids can participate in. What I missed was where we should talk about the ICT infrastructure. So we talk about the fourth industrial revolution and economic growth and growing our exports.
And were people picking up on this, though, Tebogo, on social media? Because, you're talking about it as well, but this is what people were saying on social media. I mean, you're saying that we need to try and educate voters, but right now all they've got is the device in their hand. So how do we do that? How do we have this in-depth conversation that you're talking about on social media? How do we try and break through that, I want to call it the fourth wall, if you will? How do we do that?
Well, they have you too. They have ENCA that they could look into, and a lot of the mainstream media that can help to shape, the conversation. Because when we did speak about, the fourth industrial revolution and so on and so forth, how can we get there when we don't have a rollout of fiber in townships and rural areas? How are we going to compete? So we should be talking about that, and special economic zones where we could, create a productive capacity to export. Now, the conversation now is about asset grabbing. It's about cutting the pie. It's about you getting a top spot in a current company, when we should be talking about how do we grow the pie? How do we grow the assets? How do we ensure that we have more productivity? Because the people are there. We just need to upskill them and provide them with resources.
And so as we look ahead to the 1st of November then, what is the one topic purely on social media? What's the one topic that you have not seen yet, or you have, that you would like to see more of as we build up to the 1st of November? Last question to you on the social media side.
Well, on social media side, what I would like to see is what are the plans to create employment, to deal with the structural deficiencies of our economy. And I think we're not even close, to discussing that. Our complex productive capacity is very low, as South Africa. We were given a score score of 0.24, out of a ratio of around 3, and the highest is Japan with a score of 2.4, and I think we need to look at how do we become more complex. The reason we need to become more complex...
I'm going to leave you with 10 seconds on this one.
Cool.
Very briefly, because I need to move on quite quickly. Who's been better at electioneering on social media so far? 10 seconds.
Well, on social media so far, I think it's been a tie between the ANC and the EFF. I haven't seen a lot from the DA. So we need to see more than just what is on your diary. We need to see a lot of what are you going to do for the local municipalities.
Always appreciate your time.
Thank you,
coming in to speak to us. Tebogo Dichejo from Dichejo Media joining us, a media public relations agency, looking at what should be spoken about on social media, what isn't being spoken about, and what he's hoping to see as we build up to the elections. And it's no argument, really. It is all about the economy in the end as well, isn't it?